I'm Sean from Honolulu.
Hey, people in the corner, can you please?
So shit happens in your life. That's kind of like a universal truth. So eventually, shitty stuff's going to happen to you. You're going to break up with your girlfriend, someone you love is going to die, or you're going to get rejected from a job. And that's going to cause a lot of feelings. Shitty feelings like, I suck, I hate my life, and I want to throw things at people. And that happens! Like, feelings are an essential part of life. But it'd be kind of good to have a strategy for managing these feelings, so that instead of drowning in the flood of feelings and drowning in your sorrows, you can, like, swim, a little doggy paddle or something. That's where cognitive behavior therapy comes in. So, how many people... I'm actually not going to ask that question. I was going to ask you, how many people have done therapy? And I'm like, maybe that's not something you want to share publicly. Thanks, Jamie. So, a lot of people, when they hear the word therapy, they think of like lying down on the couch and talking about your mother and your dreams, but that's not this. This is very simple and rational problem solving. So cognitive behavior therapy is based off the idea that like your thoughts come from your beliefs that are like both rational and irrational. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So you have these beliefs that then create these thoughts in your head that then guide your actions, which then reinforce your beliefs. So an example was when I first started my master's degree, I was like kind of freaking out because I'm like, man, this project is really hard and I really suck at projects. So I kept thinking that every time I approached the project that like, I can't do this, I'm too stupid for this, which led to the action that I would avoid the project, which reinforced the belief that I was bad at projects because no progress was being made. So that's a shit situation. Luckily, I was able to dissect the belief of being bad at projects and calm myself down so I can actually make some progress. And to do that, I use cognitive behavior therapy, specifically the technique of using a mind map. So there's a bunch of different techniques that I'll talk about at the end, but I just want to demonstrate the mind map version because it's the one I'm most comfortable with. All right, I can do the typey types here.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay. So when I said to Owen that I was going to do this presentation, I'm like, oh, I'll just do the example of my master's degree. He's like, no one can relate to that. So instead of doing it about breakups, because apparently everyone's either heartbroken here, so that's fucking great. So let's say your girlfriend or your boyfriend broke up with you. So you're like, end of relationship. That's like your main thing. You're like, the relationship is over and I fucked up hard. You're going to have a lot of shitty thoughts come up. Stuff like, you know, if I could use this. Stuff like, I'm a horrible person.
Can you make it bigger?
Yeah, I
Come on,
can't really see
Come on,
this
Phyllis.
stuff.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
No, even bigger. I think it's the colors. There's no contrast.
Oh,
One more,
flux.
one more time.
One more time.
Zoom out like paper times.
Okay, so everyone can see now?
Not anymore.
We're blinded by your line.
Don't make it blue. Go back to the.
Go back to
That's-
the orange.
No, keep it.
What?
We're good. Keep
Okay,
going.
alright.
Let's just keep going.
Okay, so relationships ended, you're gonna have some automatic thoughts like, I'm a horrible person, I'm going to die alone, and I'm incapable of love. I'm assuming you're laughing because these thoughts have actually come to you. Just to be clear, this is a hypothetical situation, not actually based off of my own relationships. It's based off of an amalgamation of my relationships and everyone else's. So you have these automatic thoughts, and now you have to dig down through them to figure out what your core belief is. So like, why do you think you're a horrible person? I need to get my notes so I don't accidentally confess something awkward. I'm not even kidding right now. It's something I was really concerned about. This is being live streamed. Okay.
Hashtag relationship goals.
Yeah. So you might think you're a horrible person because, you know, you hurt someone you cared about. And you're like, damn, I thought I was a person that didn't do that.
When I cared about.
Yeah. And then you might be like, I'm unable to be empathetic, like I'm unable to have empathy. Because that was one of the reasons she broke up with me in this hypothetical situation. If you can see yourself in this mind map, that's your fault. So luckily, some of these things are pretty easy to resolve. Like, I hurt someone I cared about. Well, that's happened. That's unavoidable. So you just have to make sure that you learn from your mistakes, right? Like, that's a common thing to remember. So what was the mistake this time? Well, I didn't do such a great job at empathy. And if I knew how to use a Mac, I would totally make a connection between this thing and this thing. Yeah, there we go. So I use mind map because it's easy for me, but pencil and paper works just as well too. So if you're unable to be empathetic, you've got to dig down to well, what does that mean? Where did I fail? So you have to diagnose a belief, you usually have to examine it rationally. So you have to is it actually a problem? What evidence do I have for this? What counter evidence do I have for this? So evidence, counter evidence. So my counter evidence is that I have friends who confide in me. So I help friends. But then the evidence from the hypothetical relationship.
I help friends.
I help friends. God damn it. The evidence from the hypothetical relationship is stuff like, I didn't ask her about her day enough. Because that's not really something my family ever did. That was just if you had something that happened during your day, you just bring it up. You don't want to ask about you. I failed to be emotionally available. Mostly because we were long distance at the time. Man, the uncomfortable laughter in this thing's fucking great. And then also, there was just, I generally didn't know how to respond to her emotions. She was angry when she was sad, I was always just kind of there, and I never really figured out how to do that. So, now you understand that, okay, so I'm not unable to be empathetic. There are certain situations with certain people that I have problem being empathetic with. So you'd also go through these other problems of I'm going to die alone and I'm incapable of love. In the same manner, finding counter evidence being is this thought rational? Is this thought useful? Is it driving me to be a better person? Or is it just a random voice in my head telling me I suck, which isn't really helpful? And so when you do these mind maps, what I like to finish it up with is a bubble that's next steps. So after you figured out what you need to do and what went wrong and realistically what you can do, you should write these next steps down so when these thoughts come up again and you start feeling bad about the relationship again, you can review the mind map and you can be right, what did I say I was going to do? So I can read a book on communication. So if you want to read a book on communication in relationships, I highly recommend Hold Me Tight by Sue Johnson. It's really good. I can also talk to other successful couples, which might sound really awkward, but I've got a really bunch of open-minded friends, so I could talk to them about what works in a relationship and what doesn't. And just better define what I need from someone else. What I need from someone else so I can be empathetic. So maybe it was just mostly the person that didn't work out or something. Cool. So now you get an idea of how you start off with a core belief or a core problem. You get a bunch of automatic thoughts, and then you dissect the automatic thoughts so you can reach a solution. At this point, you're probably wondering, oh my god, I have to do this every time I feel sad. This seems really time-consuming. Luckily, the whole point of CBT is that it becomes automatic. So you fuck up something at work and you're oh man, I'm so stupid, I can't program, what am I? And you're just no. We've already dealt with this. I already know that I'm not that stupid. And I'm just mediocre, which is fine because they hating me for that anyways. Seriously, this is what I tell myself. Mediocrity is great. And over time, when you stop feeding that thought or you stop feeding that emotion, it goes away. That being said, how I discovered cognitive behavior therapy is I had an anxiety disorder when I was in high school. And I use cognitive behavior therapy to deal with the various triggers that would happen in my life that would cause me to have anxiety. That being said, I was being triggered so much in life, like everything was triggering me, that I couldn't enjoy my life, so I had to go and take medication to lower me to an emotional level where cognitive behavior therapy actually became useful. So, if you find yourself being unable to enjoy life because cognitive behavior therapy has to be done all the freaking time, maybe consider seeking professional help and seeing what your options are. Cool. So, for more resources on how to do cognitive behavior therapy, the best book is definitely Mind Over Mood. I haven't used it personally, but I did read through it and I have given it to various people who said it was helped. And then if you want a more hacker-centric introduction to CBT, there's CBT is for Hackers, which is a free article. Alright, so now the reason why you'll have pencil and paper is that I want you guys to make a mind map. So think about something that makes you sad or worried, and I want you to see what thoughts come out, and I want you to try to dissect those thoughts. So I'll keep the time for 5 minutes.